Mondays, Rave Stories editions, and this isn't what you was expecting for music. This isn't what you was expecting for Music Mondays, was it?
I've got all my records, got all my headphones,
right?
I've got my new mixes, and now I've been sat in a chair. You're going to get me life story in depth.
In depth, mate. So basically, we're coming up to 15 years. We started off as a monthly show on a Monday. Then we went into a weekly show. I think the weekly's coming up to 14 years, but previous to that,
as I said, long haul.
A long haul. And you have pretty much, this is how comfortable Shane is with Music Mondays. He even brought the slippers around to put on.
And the peanuts and the orange.
And the peanuts, right? And it made sense for DJ Vibes to be our very first podcast, in-depth podcast, because...
You said I was just a guinea pig.
No, taken...
I'm glad to be the guinea pig.
Have you taken that to heart?
No, that's why I bought the peanuts.
What I mean. And he has been one of the most important people we've had on Music Mondays. He was the first compilation album we released. Yeah. He was one of the first ever people we interviewed. Remember when Cool FM was up in...
Yeah, I do, with Scar. I've been here many times for that, mate. It's been fun. Real fun.
You've been through the show many, many times. You're also resident at our events like I Love Happy Hardcore, Unity in the Sun.
Going abroad, yeah.
Which are Music Mondays events.
Yeah, and the pinnacle, I think, was to have the album through Music Mondays, the last Music's a Wonderful album. Which was something I always wanted to do, and thanks to you and Music Mondays, we've done it.
And we did it. So,
loved it.
We have got absolute living legend, gentleman, and all-round rave don.
Guinea pig.
DJ Vibes.
Yes.
In the building, and anyone who knows their old-school rave hardcore history, and I'm going to say it like this, for me... In that period of 92, 93, 94, which was a revolutionary era of breakbeat, hardcore, rave music.
Milestone. That's where it started, yes.
For the rave, breakbeat, hardcore stuff. I have a top three. And I DJ'd with them all at the weekend. And there's two of them I'm going to put neck and neck, which is Chrome and Time and Nookie, right? And then Vibes and Wish Doctor, who are, for me, with the sheer amount of bangers after bangers that you could drop.
Yep. I didn't even realise myself till you gave me the list for the album, and we had to cut some off. We couldn't even put some on.
We had to... I'm doing my intro to you here. I'm bigging you up beyond even big ups.
I see it half of 12.
From that era... He is my number one as a DJ, all the stuff he did with Wish Doctor. Because sometimes I'm like, whether it's an anthem set, whether it's an underground set, whether it's a happy set, whether it's a dark set, there's no other, for me, person who I can draw for as many tunes from. DJ Vibes.
That's amazing. It's an honour to be here, mate. An absolute honour to be asked, to be thought of.
I love you.
To actually be here makes the big difference.
I love you. So, where did you grow up? And how did it influence your musical vibes?
Well, I could tell the same old one-place boring story that's been on every bio, that's been on every magazine or every radio interview. But we can start from the start, if you want to start from the born, brought up. I was born in Cork in Ireland, which a lot of people sort of know, but they don't know. So I've got an Irish passport. So you wouldn't think it. If you heard me on the radio, you'd never think, oh, he's an Irish fellow, you know. But you're born in Cork, but then... I only lived there for 2 months because my mum and dad come over to England. They're both fully Irish because a lot of my aunties, my mum's brothers and my dad's brothers and sisters and uncles had came over to England just because people were doing that, because Ireland weren't the place to be so much for work and for life, really, because they're all brought up in the middle of the country where my mum and dad went back to, where they are now with my brother. They went back when I was 20, but then we moved to Croydon. Yeah. So I was, from 2 months on, lived in Croydon until I was 8, and we had a chip shop. We lived above the chip shop, which my dad, for whatever, because he was a head supersonic chef, but whatever, he didn't actually go into the restaurant business. He actually bought a chip shop. It was called Seafarer, and it was on Church Street in Croydon Town Centre. Right. Went back there about 3 or 4 years ago with Owen Hattricks, just for a little look about, and it's now a chicken cottage. So my dad weren't there. He's not around at the minute, but so we lived above a Seafarer chip shop. So I didn't get my music influence from there, but only because I was only till 8. And then from 8, I went to Essex. We moved to a place called Stanford Hope, Grays, Tilbury, that area. And that was where I was from 8 till 20, till my parents were back to Ireland.
What years?
Well, we moved to Essex in about 1987. I was born in 1971. I'm 53 now. And went to Croydon till I was 8. And then from 8 till whenever, Essex.
And how did Essex influence you musically?
Well, the rave scene was the start. Well, I was a soul man from being in Essex, Basildon, Southend. I went to school in Basildon. My secondary school was Basildon, and that was sort of about 5 miles from Stanford Hope, where I was living. Tilbury, Grays, that area, people would know. And soul was a big thing in Essex, especially in Southend. And we used to always go to Southend on the Saturdays, with all the boys and just a bit of fun. The seafront was there, the arcade machines were there, 10p ones. So that was great between sort of when I went to my secondary school in 1983 through to 88. That was where all my music started. Soul was a big thing. I used to buy soul records from Our Price or from Crazy Beat in Upminster.
And I think Crazy Beat's still going.
He's definitely still there.
Crazy Beat is still going.
I was there a couple of weeks ago. They got a massive mail out. They're doing really, really well. Doing well on mail outs. The shop's not as busy as it was because obviously vinyl's not as big as it was. More collectors are buying vinyl now.
It's a big collector's thing.
It's coming back, yes. So that was my places and Brickhouse Records mainly, which was when my parents went back to Ireland when I was 20. They said, "Do you want to come with us? You're more than welcome." And because my dad was building a house, my stepdad Walter, building a house with my mum Mary, and my mum and Walter had another son, which was the first son for them too. I've got no other brothers and sisters except for Gerard, who's in Ireland now. And they said, "You can come back," because they wanted to bring up Gerard in Ireland.
Yeah.
Well, whether they'd seen what happened to me and thought we're not having any more of that. So they took Gerard back and said, "You can come with us. We've got the big house ready to go." Well, house, but he's in the middle of nowhere. And I'm talking nowhere. If you haven't got a car, you've got the shop, closest shop is miles. So it just wasn't for me. So my mum gave me £2,000. Well, sort of lent me, gave me. "Mum, I will pay you back one day." I forgot.
You still ain't paid her back.
So I think they just give me £2,000 to get rid of me. So they knew I'd stay here. So I got a deposit in a flat in Grays. It's a studio flat, which was great. First place.
Yeah.
With DJing was going. That's why I didn't go as well to Ireland. My life was in England. You can't go to Ireland when you're 20 after having Essex and everything. So the music was starting to take off for me. But I'd been playing soul back to where I just started a minute ago.
And what soul? What were the artists that really drew you to music?
Well, it was the funk soul more so than the old rare groove soul. I did like a bit of that, but it was mainly the Whispers. Loose Ends definitely were my number one.
It's a big pile of loose end records there. See them?
Yep, I can see.
Loose
I
ends.
know that album.
There you go. Look,
straight away. I know they've got
big
that.
pile of loose ends.
So the compilation albums were great because you'd get more tracks on it when you couldn't afford 12 inches. Then really, with your either pocket money or I was doing a bit of building site work with me dad Walter, and buying the odd bits of records here. But whatever happened, the music was soul. But I used to love Roy Ayers and Lonnie Liston Smith.
I've not planned this, but down there is the Roy
Ayers 7-inch as
7-inch.
well.
I have not. I played that on Centreforce on Wednesday. I didn't plan for you to be sat in front of Loose Ends and Roy Ayers.
Left and right. So yes, but Roy Ayers is where I got my name from, and some people know this. When I first, the music soul was always playing soul. But soul, so when I was 17/18, after leaving school, met Barry J, a fella called Barry J. You know him, seen him a few times around. He was there Saturday as well. Who weren't there Saturday?
He was there. Barry was there.
He was hanging in.
If you're thinking what they talking about, he was there Saturday. We survived another weekend, another amazing weekend. It was the epidemic.
Lucky it was only an early one for us. We could make it.
30th birthday, and I see Barry. I see him come in, yeah.
You were there early till well late, weren't you? So
I was, yeah. Grant working me away, slaving me as a DJ, like all these promoters.
Yeah.
Put him in all the rooms.
It's amazing how other people do more work than he does at his own event. That's amazing. But I got a last minute time change. Luckily, nothing new there with Grant. Last minute time change.
And why did you get it to fit?
Yes.
In front of my
and he just didn't really say, "Do you mind?" He just said, "You are doing."
Yeah, as he always does. Yeah.
Lucky it was only an hour difference, and it was a daytime things round the corner, so that was great. The old Electro Works for the Epidemic. Yes, 30 years.
30 years.
We're all hanging in there, aren't we, mate?
Yeah, 30 years.
So soul was the thing. But met Barry J down at Basildon Market. We used to go down Basildon Market and hang about in the evenings, like you people, youngsters do,
Yeah.
you know, bit of fun. Someone would have a boom box and be a bit of music and a few people hanging about, laughing, a bit of break dancing, you know, just silly stuff like
Yeah.
that in the market. Because the market would be over, but all the stalls would still be there with the boards you could sit on. Met Barry J, we got go chatting and that, and Raquel's is dead opposite Basildon Market, and we used to go there every other sort of weekend when we could get in.
Was that mid-80s?
Raquel's, he was talking when I'd left school, so 88, 89.
Right, so coming up to the
Yeah,
house.
87,
music scene,
88 more so.
And was you going there for the? And it was soul playing. It was
Raquel's at them times was pop, and they chuck a bit of French Kiss in, or a little bit of Baby Make Me Love You for Tonight,
Right.
or Break for Love. They chuck
Get
a few
ya,
of them in the
get
middle of
ya.
the night, and then a few people would get on the floor and have rave it up. But it was more soul, more chart stuff. It was sort of a D-Ream place, you know. That
Yeah,
sort.
yeah.
It was more of a nightclub than a rave up.
but when the rave
was
music
creeping in.
started coming through from the soul and funk and
Yes.
boogie, then it's right. I get you.
And we
I
got a
get you.
taxi home one night, me and Barry. And I don't know how this. My memory's good, but it's not this good. So there was a fella driving, and we were talking to him about the driver called Jim Mahoney.
Right.
I know his name well because we went and see him many times after. We were just saying how much we would love the music. We've been in records, love music. We'd love to do a radio station. It's just the weirdest coincidence ever. He said, I can supply you a transmitter. I make transmitters. I'm an electrical man.
Right.
Whatever way it went, within the week, we were at his house having a sit-down chat with him. He had a big sort of electrical studio under his stairs, you know, like a triangle door that goes in.
Yeah.
He had all this stuff, and he sold us a transmitter at 500 quid. Probably a bit much now,
Yeah.
but we didn't know the prices of them. And within the week, we'd set up in my mum's garage playing soul and funk.
So you
No
was,
rave at all.
Right. So catch that, everyone. This man was on pirate radio
88 it was.
playing soul.
My own
That-
station. Well, me and Barry's station.
And what was the station
It was
called?
called Elite FM.
Elite.
But I wasn't called. I was called Sir Vibes,
Sir Vibes,
Which-
named after Roy Ayers.
which was a slant on survives,
Yeah.
surviving. You know, you survive life. But it was Sir Vibes.
Yeah.
It was two words, Sir Vibes.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bit. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
so
Sir
it has a
Vibes.
very soul funk rare
Hey, this
groove
is Sir Vibes. Yeah.
vibe to it.
Yes.
It really is of the moment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was just smooth. You know,
Yeah.
everybody loves the sunshine sort of thing.
Yeah.
And my favourite Roy Ayers track at those times was Running Away. But the reason I was called Sir Vibes is because of Roy Ayers.
Yeah.
Because Roy Ayers plays the vibraphone, which is a big glockenspiel, if you know what I mean. He goes, dun, 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 dun. A lot of his records, he does outros and intros
Yeah.
on that. It's called the vibraphone. And his slang name for that, on a lot of the back of the records, it names who plays the guitar, who plays the drums, like it will do on a lot of soul records, the vibraphone, and it will just have in brackets the vibes, because that's what it's a slang name for the nickname for
Yeah.
a vibraphone is the vibes. So that's why it's called Survivors. But when Brickhouse Records was a short distance away, we started hearing that rave stuff was coming in a bit, you know, like Strawberry Fields, which wasn't really ravey, but like Karina and all that. So we started buying a few of those, you know, and we used to buy bargain packs from Brickhouse Records, which were £10, and it'd have 4 records in it, and it could be anything. And that's how I know. We actually got snapped the power in one of those.
Yeah.
Believe that or not, but we got Strawberry Fields and a few other things like just slow raves. But there'd be a couple of raves.
Because that was a big when Shane says slow rave. For those who don't know, a lot of rave, like you think "Career Let Me Love You for Tonight" is a slow record,
Yeah.
But then there was like a lot of alternative slower records that used the soul to soul kind of beat.
Yeah, they'd chuck them at raves. They'd
And
be in
that-
87, 88
yeah,
raves.
and they would be like big
The
tunes.
big outdoors dudes would have them playing,
Yeah.
no doubt. People would love it because it wasn't all about going crazy like French Kiss and that. It was a lot of people sort of like more mellow.
Yeah.
But there wouldn't be a whole hour of that.
Do you think that you gravitated toward that, and a lot of DJs gravitated toward them slower ones because you come through a soul?
Yeah, because they had a lot of
so
the
you got it.
grooves and they had a lot more melodicness, a lot more sort of feeling. You know,
Yeah.
anyone can go crazy to a 150, well, 140 then it would have been, wouldn't it?
Well,
BPM?
120.
Yeah, but the ravey stuff like maybe
Yeah.
the Grandma's Party and stuff
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
would be 130, 40.
Yeah.
It'd be coming up the levels, and French
Yeah.
Kiss would be coming up, and then it started just like anything, Salt and Pepper would Evolution in there, and all
Yeah.
sorts of crazy stuff would be played. But we would start. Then we thought, but Survivors was a little bit. I hate to say this, a bit poncy for playing rave stuff at the time.
Yeah, it feels very rare groove, very.
And the pirate station needed to evolve because Kiss came on the same time near enough as when we were starting off. It was around that time. Kiss was really going well, and people were listening to Kiss, and that's why we wanted to do it. We took our influence.
Can you
off
remember
Kiss.
what month in '88?
I can't remember what month we started.
Right, okay.
It wasn't winter because our garage was warm. It was definitely summery time because it was warm enough in the garage. And I remember when it did get wintry, we had to have a heater in there later on.
Yeah.
But it was So the Sir Vibes was a little bit not quite. It was a bit too soulful. It was a bit 80s.
Yeah.
I needed to move onwards a bit. I wanted to be the rave master sort of, which I'll tell you about later.
Which you become, yeah.
So I just dropped the Sir. I had a little period. I called myself the Navigator, and that was long before. And I can still do it now. Listen to this. I can still do it. And this is from 30, 40 years ago. The N, the A, the V, the I, the G, the T, the O, the R, the Navigator. That's how I used to do it then.
The real MC Navigator. Look, they really are. These hairs are up on end. The real MC Navigator out there. Watch out. He's coming.
He's going to start DJing as Vibesy.
Do you think you're going to knock that over in excitement?
No, I just put it there. Oh.
Someone has just said that orange juice is going over.
Oh, right, great. So, so that was the sort of evolution of me rave. So the soul stuff started drifting out. I'd play, because I'd come down from my bedroom and I'd go straight in the garage, I could play. And then Barry would turn up, DJ Daz would turn up. We'd have a few sort of my old mates would have a go.
Yeah.
Just, and it was fine because I couldn't do it all. But then it started getting big. We didn't take that long to get big because it was the only station that would go from Stamford through to Grays through to Barking.
How long did this run for?
Around a year
to
start with.
The thing that fascinates me, so I love my history of pirate radio, acid house, just in general. Centerfall's switched on air in 1989. Sunrise was the summer of 89. You were right there in the cusp for Essex of, through your love of soul, having this pirate station for soul, but it ended up becoming a cusp for the outskirts of East London and Essex.
We were getting to Barking,
rave music, and this is like so early on in the history. This is when you think of pirate radio, like Sunrise and Centerfalls are everyone's, like, they were the ones. 88, 89. Kiss was moving on by that point. And it wasn't till 1991, 92, 93 that there's so many stations, whether that was
definitely.
Pulse.
Even now, yeah.
Yeah, whether that was Pulse through to the Cool FMs. There was just so much. But how old was you?
18.
At 18, there you are.
Yeah.
With one of the first rave.
First in Essex, really. No doubt.
Dedicated just
going from
to
Barking to
rave.
Southend on the good day, down to Gravesend in Kent, because it was bouncing off the water. I'd never been to Gravesend in my life. I thought, where's that?
Yeah.
But, it's 3 miles as the crow across water. But, you'd never go there. And, wow, down in Kent. Whoa, wow. And we was even going up to sort of sometimes Chelmsford. So it was great on a good day, on a clear day. And we had phones. Well, we didn't have phones. We had pagers at first. Then we got 2 Techno phones, which were cheap and cheerful ones, and they were going solid. But sorry, I missed the important bit. There was a phone box at the end of the road next to the Conservative Club, and Terry Outen, Denise Van Outen's brother, used to stand in there for us taking calls and run down and run them back.
Wow.
Yep. Big tell boy. Big T.
How old was Denise Van Outen at that point?
She was 3 years below us in school. Yeah, she was at our school. So yes, we used to stay around and have right laughs with Terry. Then we actually, when we got nicked. I'll tell you that in a second.
Did your mum realise you were running an illegal pirate radio station?
Not illegal. She knew it weren't meant to be, but she didn't know it was.
The
DTR are a big firm,
yeah.
Because you're blocking all sorts of waves of police, ambulances, so we were told, shipping lines, the lot.
Yeah.
You don't realise you're just chucking something on. There's people paying millions to have licences, and you're just flying around. But we were the only one. That's why it was so busy.
Yeah.
Because we were the only one, and it was a new thing. People would love to get their name mentioned on the radio, like that.
Yeah.
You can't. The other stations, Kiss and all, the Radio 1, you'd be very lucky. But and then you'd always have the same people that always get hold of you every night. They'd always listen.
Yeah.
They'd be down the old car park, a few of them with the radio on around the car. I used to go down there all the time and, and they'd be doing whatever they're doing in the cars, listening to the radio, and it was a great thing.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it. It was the first rung of the ladder for me to be now where I am now.
How many nights a week did you go on, or was it just a weekend thing?
No, it was constant. It was constant because it was that big and that good and that much of a laugh.
Yeah.
And we'd have a little posse in the garage. It weren't as if it was all undercover and hush hush. The wire, it wasn't linked to anything. The wire only went up onto the top of our conservatory. That's off the edge of the drain pipe. That was it.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it 1,000 watts hour thing? It was 500 quid either way, which I found out later on was a bit expensive. But
Right.
I didn't care because it done us great. It lasted, and as you well know, the story of Cabbage, because we decided, because it was so big, we're going to have a little rave up, just a little gathering, not a rave, no sound system, no big stage or anything. We just said, right, we're going to have a Sunday up at One Tree Hill, which is in between Bassett and Five
Can you remember
Bells.
the exact date?
It was a Sunday. It was a Sunday in summer because it was a very hot day, and that would have been 88 or 89. 89.
Yeah.
It was so busy. Our station, it was just going off all the time, and people saying, "Do a rave," but we weren't going to do a rave because we didn't have a clue. Where would I get a sound system? Just about found a transmitter. So we did, and thousands, hundreds of people went up there. They had to shut off the A13, and there was a car dealer at the bottom of this One Tree Hill, and he was complaining. I was all complaining. It was a roadblock. And a fella called Cabbage had a transit, and he had a big system in it, and that was where everyone was gathering round. Whatever way it went, the next weekend our doors went in.
Right.
Because of that, we'd got too big for our, not even too big, but just we decided to get out of our trainers and put on boots.
Yeah.
So whatever way it went, our door went in the next week, all because of us deciding to have a little gathering.
Was your mum in when they
Yep,
raided you?
no, they were coming back from the Irish club with my Uncle John and Auntie Sheila.
Wow.
Police, no, they wanted my mum wasn't allowed in her own front door. She wasn't allowed in. They said, no, you can't come in. They had Alsatians up my mum's stairs.
Right. So
Fact.
talk us through the process of the DTI and the old Bill raiding your mum's
Back garage.
back
At
garage
the end of the garden.
while you and your teenage mates
Terry
are
Allen was
literally
there. Big Bass was
running
there.
an illegal pirate radio station that you was unaware had got so big in Essex that you thought, oh, we'll put on a little garden party on a Sunday.
One Hill, just a gathering. It was
And-
called Teddy Bear's Picnic.
It
we
was
called
called Teddy Bear's Picnic, right? and all these people turned up, in which then the old Bill were like, oh, what are this?
Because it was just a mental gathering, and it blocked off the A13 turning into One Hill, which is a massive sort of road
Yeah.
by this geezer's garage, just in between the Five Bells. People know it if they know it. Just between Basildon and Lakeside. You know, that's the stretch.
So talk us through the raid.
It was a Saturday night.
Yep.
They waited for the biggie. We was just about 10, 11 o'clock, because it must have been, because that was when my mum and dad were coming back from the Irish club. So they kicked the back gate in, but busted it, and the door was, they didn't kick the door in, they just came in the door, but because it was an open garage door. It wasn't open, but it was just a garage door that they just opened it. There was 3 or 4 police, the actual fella himself, Pete somebody, was there. He's the main DTI man that everyone would have known at the time. His name's Pete something anyway, from Chelmsford. Got all the papers. I had to go to court. They wouldn't let my parents in. They took everything away, all my records as well. They took Terry Oughton's records, Baz's records, any records that were there. We didn't get them back or even know how to or try to get them back. I was the main man who got, because it's the house, me, whatever. Barry didn't get nothing. Terry didn't get nothing. My parents didn't get any trouble. I just got for being in charge of it. And in 1989, you know this anyway, I got a £1,200 fine.
Yeah.
Then lost me records, lost the transmitter. But by this time, I'd already got a few little bookings because of it.
Yeah.
You know, we was doing a lot of flyering, and we were doing advertising. I used to sit in the bedroom on my Iowa system and record for a mic, record the adverts for the events. We used to do Rush, you know, the small events we used to do, World Dance. Sorry, Beyond Therapy.
Beyond Therapy, which was before World Dance.
Yeah, Jay went to Jay's house one day in my T-Reg Fiesta, which I didn't have a license or a MOT or anything for. I bought it off Chris Woods for 100 quid.
Yeah. So basically, endearingly nice DJ Vibes, who everyone loves, and he's like one of the most inspiring people. illegal pirate radio, illegal raves, driving around with no tax and MOTs, causing disturbance.
I don't know where the car came from, but it blew up outside the Sportsman about 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
So I just left it there with the keys on the chair for anyone else who wanted to try it. So I went to Jay Pender's World Dance Place in Essex Hornchurch, and to do a flyering thing and an advert, and money, cash, but it was going really, really well. And he said, we'll book you one day, we will book you. And it came true.
It did, yeah.
He did a couple of years later, booked me a few times.
Because that Beyond Therapy and World Dance and stuff like that was huge in
You had to be established
89.
to be on that.
Yeah. Now, did you, during that era, is the mythical golden era of the roots of rave, where everyone's cuddling each other on the dance floor, but behind the scenes there's all kind of aggro and trouble, and obviously you've highlighted like the fact that DTI are busting you, but as a pirate radio station, and in that time, did you get any sort of conflict or trouble or
nothing at all ever? I don't know why. We probably weren't going quite far enough into London to make it a problem.
Into the East
There was
End
no
or
one in
into
our
North
area.
London.
We were treading on toes, and we were fun. We were happy.
Yeah.
We weren't. There was no rude boy, no bad stuff. There was none of that.
No gangsters
There was
surrounding
none
it,
of
right.
none of that. There was no talking about stuff we shouldn't. There was no swearing for sure.
Yeah.
Which you learn. Certain people can do that.
Yeah.
Certain people can't. But we kept it really nice, and because we was only young and all, we weren't like gangsters or big boys or anything. We were just fun fellas
you
having
just
a bit
wanted
of
to
fun.
play music. Yeah.
And there was lots of DJs. We had a lot of the when we sort of folded up. We tried a few more times from Terry Oughton's loft, and we tried.
It feels like something out of Ali G when they're all driving
It really
around
is.
in the little yellow motor and all that, and it's like,
God, Cabbage to this day is still knocking about.
cabbage.
In an old tranny.
Yeah.
With a system. That's what I think kicks it off mainly, because everyone was around that. But yeah, that's where I got a great couple of rungs up the ladder from doing that station, because I got known a bit. And you know, if you're advertising things, like anything, if you can sell tickets for someone, they want you on board. If you could get flyers, we were doing flyering and all sorts of stuff. And because if I bought that station on now, where in Basildon, it wouldn't go anywhere. But it was timing, lucky timing.
Can you pinpoint off the top of your head 5 records in that year that define your early days of Vibes and the station?
Well, I think Tricky Disco is one everyone used to love us playing.
Yep.
And Gino Latino.
Welcome.
Yeah, that was a real good one. Strawberry Fields, constantly. People
that
used
was
to
a
ask for that all the
candy
time.
flip.
I don't know
was
why.
Huge.
It's not a rave.
It was
what
huge.
you call a rave record. That was there. I'd always, when I'd get up in the mornings though, because I could go straight down. It was great. What else did I do? I didn't have a job or nothing.
Sounds like me every Monday. I
just passed it on to you, didn't I? Let him do it. So I'd just go down in the mornings, and I'd play soul in the mornings. Even when we were on ravey, it would always be soul in the mornings.
Yeah,
just get it going. So I'd always play Running Away Roy Ayers, and I know that's not ravey, but that was because that was me. That was my that and Lonnie and Liston Smith.
Expansions. But you think of Runaway, it is proto house. The tempo, that it's a disco-y track.
The the bass line.
Yeah, of course. It's been sampled. It's been sampled so many times over the years. So what other track?
We'd even like Dreams of Santorano. That sort of stuff we were playing.
Yeah,
and Man Machine and LFO. That was the time.
They're all down there.
Yeah.
They're all down.
We could have a rekindlement if at any time. That was the style. There was no banging stuff. French Kiss we used to love playing the 11 minute version. We'd always love that.
You was all so young. You liked it when it got to the middle bit, didn't you? You dirty boys. There's a lot of
turn it down because my mum would be listening up.
Yeah.
But yes, that was the sort of early rave music. But then we started getting a little bit more sort of techno-y, D-zone records.
Bleeps and bass. Can you remember your first gigs?
My first gigs were basically
in proper
rave conditions.
Actually, did you have soul gigs?
I didn't have any soul gigs, no. But I've done some youth clubs. Done youth clubs, and we've done a couple of youth clubs. Done Round Acre, done a few birthdays, but no actual nightclubs. But then, as we started being me and Baz started, we're going to do a night, and one of the most successful nights ever. At Southend, Mr. B's.
Right.
Barry was a friend of the bloke who owned it, and we just basically said, I think we can do this. I think we can get some people in. We got the if people that were phoning in or paging in or whatever they were doing would get half of them to the event, we'd be sorted. So we started off, we called it Techno Core, it was called.
89 or 90?
I'd say 89, coming on to 90. And we Mr. B's was a rave club. It was a sort of more of an exclusive club. It wasn't like Tots.
Yeah.
It wasn't like...
So more underground.
Yeah.
How many people did it hold?
We got 300 or 400 the first week, 5, 6, and then for the whole year we done it, 1,000 people every week. We would get £1 a head, me and Barry, but not each, but between us, we'd get £1 a head. We were taking home £1,000 every week for a good 6, 8, 10 months. And then when it got to Christmas, New Year's, the fella said, we're going to leave it. And they've done it themselves. They've done a rave night themselves.
Oh, so you built it all up.
We had Kenny Ken, we had Mickey Finn, we had Moose. I'll tell you a bloke that we had that was great, that people loved. And I loved him because he gave me a tape, and a tape that I've still got indoors somewhere that I always used to listen to, Mixmaster Max.
Mixmaster Max.
Don't know if you know
Yeah,
that.
what a legendary name.
He was scratching then like a demon. Scratching like a demon. But we had all the DJs there. And, decent enough money because the club would pay the money for them. They'd give us an allowance. I think it was £300, which was quite a bit then.
Yeah, for them.
And we had Moose there because we loved Moose. And then that moved on to us. That was a great thing for me to be DJing on.
Friday or Saturday night?
Fridays.
Yeah.
1,000 every week. But they used to get more in, but we don't. They used to put a cap on it at 1,000, so they could only give us £1,000.
And what time did it close?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. It's renowned to this day for it, but he dropped us because they said we can do it ourselves. They wanted the Christmas run. They wanted the New Year's Eve. After that, it crumbled. So we went from there to the Slammer in Gravesend, and we called it the same night. The same night we had Rat Pack. We had basically everyone. We had all the DJs.
Yeah.
But that wasn't so good. Because
you moved further out.
Moved further out. Essex, it wasn't people had to... Southend Seafront is where that Mr. B's was.
Yeah.
So you've got passing trade. People want to be there. It's a great venue.
Because in that era, I remember me and my mates, soon as one of your mates passed his driving test.
Oh, yeah. Six up.
Everyone within like a 30 to 50 mile radius of Southend, it was the big thing in like 89, 90 to go to Southend Seafront, and everyone would just go up and down
Cruise
in
the
their
strip.
Beatles,
Yeah, the circle.
cruise it with
the
all,
circuit is cool.
Yeah, and that was the thing. And like I remember going with my mate Chrissy Lambourne and Pants Man.
Yeah, because there was all the neon lights, weren't there? There was the arcades, you had the beach, but a few burgers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the big thing. So obviously when Rave kicked off, Southend was a perfect.
But there was
place.
queues. But you start at 9. There was queues going up around the corner. It was great. It was golden place, summertime, golden music, golden years.
And how long
definitely.
how long would you DJ for
Do
every Friday?
45 minutes. Spaz would do the 45. So we was residents, obviously.
Yeah.
But we'd do our own flyers. We'd take them all around the record shops through the week. We'd do a monthly flyer. We used to have Daniel Rochelle. You can dig the flyers out there. I've put a few of them up.
That Danielle's still going strong on
yeah.
Centreforce with us all.
Yeah, we had every DJ of the time.
Yeah.
And some ones you wouldn't know so much now that were good then, but just drifted off. But then we went to Slammer, it wasn't so good. And then so we drifted back to the Berwick Manor and do the night. And that was hard work.
Yeah.
Because...
they already had the Friday going in there.
It wasn't because it was that. It was because of where it is. You have to drive there. It's a long way out, that Berwick Manor.
So what nights did you do Berwick?
Saturday.
Right, so Fridays, Roger and everyone was in there.
It was. We used to see him in there a lot. We used to go there for meetings, and it was just a bit of fun. We weren't businessmen. We weren't. We were promoters, obviously, by what we were doing.
Yeah.
But we weren't. We didn't have accounts or anything like that. I don't think there was any figures
I think some
written
of these promoters now don't run professionally, do they?
But we were having fun, and we done that for a year. But that gave me a massive insight into the DJing itself. I had some avenues then. I had some sort of people knew me, and I'd be DJing. I'd done favours for them. They'd done favours for me. So the next thing was Roller Express. We were flyering for them a lot because we were still doing the radio at this time, but it was harder because we were doing it from Terry's loft.
Yeah.
Then we even done it for a while because Dad weren't having it or something. We was doing it from up a tree with a big aerial and a transmitter from Jim again, a smaller one, on a car battery.
As you progressed with Jim, the geezer who supplied the
Yeah.
transmitter, did he ever do it cheaper, or did he
I
keep ramping the prices up?
I think he said you need a bigger one and charged us the same money, but it weren't any bigger.
Right.
But we only got 3 off him in the long run. So then we just decided, my DJing was taking off a bit with the Rush, Weekend Rush. I was doing lots of little do's around, you know. I was down to doing a lot in Maidstone, and I can't remember the names of half of them. I was started to get smaller ones, but then the first big one I got was 92.
Right.
I'm sorry, I've missed out a chunk here, which is criminal. I was doing a few little ones, doing roast. I was doing a lot of roast do's. They had me, for some reason they loved me, because I played ragga jungly style rave.
Yeah.
You know, like sort of more of anything that had a ragga vocal in it, or deep bass line, or anything that was pure breakbeat without any stomp. I was playing that.
Yeah.
And when I played there once, they loved it. And Rob Foster.
I remember the name Rob Foster.
He was well in with them, and he was really on my side. And he told them that I played a great set, and I became the resident, and I was the only white person playing there. And they called me the Great White Hope.
Brilliant.
I don't know. Yeah.
And what? That was 91.
91, 92. And I know that for a fact, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
And was that at Termills or no?
This was down in South London. It was a little industrial estate place.
And was that every Sunday?
It was main Sundays. Yeah, it was
Every
a
Sunday,
rotation job. I weren't playing there
yeah.
every Sunday, but it was rotation.
Yeah.
And but it was on Green Lanes, Haringey, where there was the night that the bouncer got murdered. He got thrown over the balcony, and I was there, and I see the people come running through the front door.
Wow.
I had Haringey police come to my mum's house.
What was the venue in Haringey? Was it
Light Room? No, I don't know. It was on Green Lanes.
Yeah.
I remember the night well.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting there, and I was guaranteed, this is 1,000,000% fact. I was sitting in this Chesterfield single chair, and 3 or 4 blokes come running through the front door, solid blokes, like big heavyweight geezers, come flying through. I thought, what's that about? Left it be. Anyway, I'm sitting there because I was waiting for my 100 quid wages. Honest to God with you.
You was doing well, 100 quid in 91.
Well, can't argue with that.
No.
Well, definitely not. God, I take that now.
Most of them we had to most of them we had to run around the venues chasing out 20 quid, didn't we?
Yeah, fuel.
Yeah, fuel.
The Fiesta T-Reg. What was I driving then? Oh yeah, I had my first car by then, because I earned a couple of pennies along the way. I had my first D-Reg XR3i, which I bought from Canvey Island. For he wanted $3,000. I gave him 2,900.
Brilliant.
Which was good, because I saved up some money. I just managed to save, because I weren't going out, and I weren't drinking or going nuts or being crazy or doing anything stupid in them days, I had my little studio flat.
Yeah.
No, sorry, that's before that.
You see, this man's got so much. Anyway, back, the 3 geezers running through.
Yes. So I was waiting for my 100 quid, and as them 3 went through, I thought nothing of it, because they'd gone into the venue. This is out in the foyer area. Remo Don, who you saw and spoke about the other morning, he came up to me because I played one of his tunes, a track called Wonderful by and it was Remo Don.
Yeah.
Or Remo Don, because his name is Remo. Errol is his name. So, but Remo is his name, and Remo, 2 words, Remo Don, the Don, because his second name is Gordon.
Yeah.
So Errol Gordon, the Don Gargon, that sort of style, very reggae. So very, 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 very cool. But I played his record. I'd got that from Brickhouse, funny enough.
Yeah.
And I played it, and he came up to me, man, you played my record. He said it was a wicked set. I'm not doing an impression or anything. I just, you played my record.
Is he American? Hey man, thanks for playing.
Sounded like they'd about 10 lagers while I just said that. He came up to me and he said, Shane, he said, loved your set. He said, thanks for playing my track. Have you ever made music?
Yeah.
And I said, no. He said, would you like to? I said, of course I would. I'd love to. Because if he can make a track like that and he can help me to do something, then whoa.
Yeah, you're off.
Tuesday night in Tooting with him, goes to the flat up opposite Tooting station. Geezer called Andy in there with a mixing desk as big as from your deck to that deck.
Yeah.
This must have been about a 500 track or something, or a 48 track. And it was where a lot of the Star Wars pieces and stuff had been done for some of the later films on that particular desk. He was the man for it. He was a real proper music man, not a rave music man. So he could do anything, all effects he was into and stuff. And Wish Doctor's there, as I didn't know a lot about Wish Doctor. I'd know he'd done a few kicking records. Oh, wow. So us 4 together made Sing It Loud that particular night, Tuesday, after I was asked.
Wow.
What a journey. What a lucky place to be. Right time.
Yeah, so while all chaos is going
Chaos
on,
going out.
So hang on. Let's just take this in. 3 geezers run into a club.
Yep.
Bouncer gets thrown off the balcony.
Impaled on railings.
You meet Remo.
Yep.
And says, mate, you just played a wicked set.
Mm-hmm.
Come studio.
Yes.
So a night.
I'd never been in a studio in my life. Never.
So this night of like a significant night where there was a sad murder.
Well, as I said, the end of that week, I had latent Haringey police contact me.
Yeah.
2 men came to my mum's house and sat in the kitchen for me for nearly 2 hours asking me questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything. That came from Haringey police down to Essex, down to Stamford.
Did you ever? Did anyone ever find out or know what
I really
it was?
don't know.
What it was
Dan,
all over.
I really don't know, Bill. But I'm sure we could find out if we wanted to. But that was the whole reason for a murder in the club that I played at.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's quite. We'll get on to the making of the tune, but it is mad how in our world of music and DJing sometimes there's like parallel universes going on.
Yeah.
So I find that absolutely fascinating.
But just the luck, but then the love and luck I got that night.
That night in a place of chaos.
Yeah, and then, but if you know this little story, and I've still got to tell you how many more love there is.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it happened, how it could never happen these days. I went to switch off a fan because it was that hot. It was a summery time.
Yeah.
And I switched off something that cleared everything. That cleared that whole night's work. Sing It Loud original was gone.
Yeah, I remember you told me this so much, but now
Sing It Loud original is gone. But because they're so professional, them lot, the Grant especially, on everything, they managed to come back the next night. What would you have said to someone?
I'll leave off, mate. Yeah,
you've had your chance.
Leave us alone, Shane, mate.
You've had your chance. Go.
Yeah.
Oh, that could have ruined my life, couldn't it? Well, but they come back the next night. It didn't take as long because they had everything ready to go. Put it back. I'm sure it's not exactly the same. I'd love to hear what it was like with her.
Could you imagine?
Could imagine finding it somewhere.
Yeah,
remix.
Yeah. What that would mean.
It would have been different, but not a lot. I wouldn't have said because we had a lot of the sounds in there from Mario. There's a lot of sounds from Mario, the original Mario. Boom, boom. If you listen, so they were still the same sounds. Might have been arranged a bit different.
So you're DJing.
Can I just throw in quickly that then Grant said, "Do you want to do a B-side?" So the following week went to his house in Wimbledon, Motspur Park, which is just a bit out from Wimbledon. And as you well know, the Music So Wonderful is the other side, which we done, me and him. And I swear, people say no chance. It was done in under 4 hours, start to finish. I shouldn't tell you that, really. I should tell people it took weeks and months.
But when you think about it, the energy of that record is so like Music So Wonderful, the everlasting energy of that. It would make sense that it was made so quickly because sometimes the most amazing things happen, creative things, artistic things, seminal things happen like that. Sometimes it doesn't need overthinking and overplaying, and you can hear it.
Because a lot of that you can see is sort of looped because it's this section, then the section again. But I'm not just saying it was my first shot, was one of my best shots. Yeah. Because I was hungry. They were there and done all this buttony stuff, but I really was fully behind it. I've got to say that. I'm going to say that, but I really mean that.
So you DJ in 91, 92 for Roast and meeting people and playing. And then by the end of 92, you're in the studio with Remo. Now, earlier, Shane referenced Grant.
Yes.
Which is Wish Doctor, which is
Grant Nelson.
Legendary garage house.
Yeah.
Don, like one of the greatest. Like earlier I put
the greatest, yeah.
Earlier I put Vibes and Wish
region,
Doctor as number one in that 92, 93, 94 section. And I also mentioned Nookie and Chrome and Time, who I will have here, but Vibes and Wish Doctor are number one. Chrome and Time and Nookie are number two, equally for me for just bangers. But so Wish Doctor Grant Nelson, pure genius in prototype jungle hardcore.
Then he was, yeah.
And then an absolute genius in garage and house music.
Well, the fact that he took me under his wing, so did Remo. That's why I've always done the same for people, and I've done that for people many times. I've helped people as much as I can, and help themselves. You know,
your first encounters of working in the studio.
Yes,
and obviously it's by chance, born out of this chaotic night.
I must have done something nice to somebody in the past.
Born out of this chaotic night. Did you have an inkling at any point previous to that you might want to make tunes?
I thought about it, but it was only coming up in my mind then. I'd never thought about it years before that.
Right.
I was starting to think, God, these other people have got their names on records. I'd love to have my name on a record.
On a record.
I don't know how it works. I don't know how or why, but no one does it first, do they?
No, because you're just DJing. So you go in the studio your very first time. Did you realise with Grant that you was in the presence of a genius?
I only afterwards. No, not there and then, because it was my first experience. I just know that I was lucky to be in there with 3 people. Andy was the technical king on this he had the big super studio in his house. It was his house. Grant could work everything quickly and make it sound good. And Remo was the bass line man and the beats man. And there was me with the energy.
How old was Grant?
I think Grant's the same age as me, maybe a year younger or 2 years younger. It was definitely the same ballpark.
And I've got in our lifetime of doing music, and I've got to big up Remo, there has been some absolute unsung, amazing people.
Yes,
and
he is under the radar.
And like Remo passes through so many events that you're at or involved in, like when we did the launch for your album. And there's a few people in different musics who I know, and I always think, if only, as he walks through the crowd, I just think, if only you people knew.
If we haven't got photos of that night.
The other person, like in house music in 88, 89 and Blerick, is Trevor Fung. His influence over music, and when I see Trevor walk around the festival, like that's the thing with Remo. He's so unassuming.
But he looks so cool as well, doesn't he? So cool.
He's so cool and unassuming, and like literally, he has anthems under his belt.
Yeah.
like UK musical changing, like Music So Wonderful is a track that helped change the landscape.
Well, I can't say I wouldn't have carried on doing what I'm doing now. I don't think I'd be in the same position because that led to the Wish Doctor, period with me.
Yeah.
Which obviously that lifted me right up.
Yeah.
That was 3 rungs up the ladder. That's like snakes and ladders going halfway up the board straight away.
What do you think that you and Grant Nelson had between you that makes all of those classics, that makes me as a DJ and probably thousands of other DJs and tens of thousands of music lovers be just like, what they did is up there for me. Like you know how much I love this scene and the music and all of these records and what I play, but I pinpoint you as
I would push him
there.
a bit. I'd push him a bit where he couldn't be bothered to do this. Couldn't be bothered. It would have took another 20 minutes, half hour, which other people would have took 3 hours to be honest. Let me tell you. Certain people are good, quick, fast, and some just aren't.
Yeah.
But I'd push him to do that, to get that extra sound, or to have an intro at the end, which would always take half an hour. An outro, I mean. Those little things, different sounds. Oh, come on, the daylight's coming up, because we go through the night a lot.
Yeah.
Daylight's coming up. Come on, let's just get it done now. Let's just finish it. Come on, let's just put that bit in. Go on. Even if it's a B-side. But yeah, he was always the talent, always the heavy talent. And he started making garage the time we were stopped sort of 3 or 4 years into our period. Everything was 50-50 with us. It was always perfect. We was up on tune together. There was never any disagreements, never any stress.
Yep.
The music just flowed. It really did. That's why it's good. It was never. We didn't hardly ever hit a brick wall. We've all done that though. No, we'll leave it now. We're not getting any further. We were just, and we did evolve a bit. The music got happier and a bit harder.
Yeah.
And as the time went past, and we both knew what we were doing.
There was just such a, no matter what you did, whether it was a darker, like prototype drum and bass
track,
it would be a bit
different, yeah.
Whether it was like a soulful breakbeat track, it didn't matter what you did. Like whatever you did,
And people liked it. Yeah,
had
people liked it.
Just had an incredible vibe. Shane, can I ask you move forward?
I'm
Look,
drifting.
we can't
I'm
see your
drifting.
beautiful
I'm
face.
drifting.
Like we're too
Ooh.
relaxed.
Drifting.
Yeah, and whatever you did was just magic, and it's like I can only.
Oh, golden years, golden period, mate. I'm. All right, yes, I was lucky to be there, but I knew what people wanted to hear. They liked little tinkles, they liked little pianos, and they liked a rough bass line to edge it up a bit.
Right, it had such a ecstatic rush vibe to it. Was you getting involved with
Yes.
popping the little fellas at that time to have an
no,
understanding?
Definitely not. No, well ahead of them times. We'd have 2 kebabs each in a session.
Right, so you just had this vibe like of music that was bringing that energy.
I like you.
to
I
a
love
rave.
music, but whatever style of music, good music.
Yeah,
And the soul stuff. A lot of the soul influences in my tracks. You know that.
yeah,
Really
yeah.
is the vocals and some of the pianos, and the soft jazzy bits.
Yeah.
Just some of them strings.
It fascinates me that you wasn't getting
No.
on it on the
No.
dance floors.
No,
yet.
no.
These tunes. are
Maybe
just,
that's for the best because it might not have worked out. It could have been all over the place.
Yeah. What made you want to do the darker, futuristic, cutting edge stuff, and then what made you want to also do?
We'd always
the
try.
uplifting
We wanted to
stuff?
cater for everybody on a 12-inch. So some person, if there's 2 really happy tracks on a 12-inch each side, it would alienate someone. But if you've got a real darky, jungly, breakbeaty one on one side and a happy one on the other, you're going to maybe... You'll buy a record because there's one track on it, wouldn't you? You don't have to be both brilliant, do
Yeah, I'll buy a record just because it's a record. It's a record.
if someone else ain't got it, I'll have it. So it doesn't have to be A-side, B-side happy or that style. So if you put something on the other side different, then it's going to open up the market. And obviously, if you don't just pigeonhole yourself, which I probably have done over the last... I had to take a move. Grant said, do you want to do some garage with me? I was always in the studio. I was there when he was doing Nice and Ripes. I was there all the time when he was doing it with what's his name, Richard Granger.
And you play a wicked garage set.
Yeah, I'm very soulful.
You are so soulful.
Yeah, very soulful. I'm going to do a few in Unity. Right, that's an exclusive for you. Doing a few in Unity.
Yeah.
So, yes, but I just didn't... My road was that way. I did play some garage sets, quite a few garage sets in
Shane
that time.
Levan, yeah.
Just as a little sideline. I'm buying the records because I love them to play at home. Why not put them out a bit? I've still got them all.
Yeah.
Still got all of them. So, but it just... I couldn't go that way. I'd have gone a sort of more... I'd been of a sort of top buzz went that way, really did, and he stayed that way. Then he came back.
But the mad thing is like you have got some of the most groundbreaking, edgier, darker underground stuff. Like, but then you've got some of the earliest,
feel free,
happiest
feel good.
stuff.
Sing it,
like,
yeah.
Like, explain.
Or you can go Midsummer Mist the other way.
You can go the other way. So you're in the thick of the scene, right? You're in the thick of it.
I didn't really know it. I didn't know it.
Right, but you just had.
I was still smiling and looking around, not knowing it.
So what do you attribute to that natural ebb of absolutely, completely understanding the 2 different vibes that were literally happening in the rave world? You had a natural ebb.
Well, I played a lot of London doos. I was a resident at Roller Express, which really elevated me. So I knew that style, and I played on Cool FM long before. Was it before? Was it? No, it was after the Pirate. Yeah, I was Cool FM in 91,
Cool FM,
2-ish.
Yeah.
99, 2-ish, and then the record came out in late 92.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So that was when things started taking big leaps. That was a personal flyer for me, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just an advert for me that people are loving.
Yeah.
And they're looking at it spinning round, so my name's getting seen. When I gave it to you, second person, Groove Rider, first person, you were the first person that played Sing It Loud out.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And that got me. I sent records. When I'd send tapes to people, I'd send a C60. I've always been an advertiser of myself. Best I can, because your name's going to...
If you want something done...
Your name's not going to fall out the sky into their lap. You have to put it in their lap. So I'd do a hard side. My tape was a hard side and a happy side.
Yeah.
So the hard side wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be techno. It would be jungle hard. It would be dark, like sort of oh God, SS's label, Formation style. I'd be right into the Formation on one side, that style. Then the other side would be just pure happy, like SMD in. at that time. So I'd always send tapes. I'd send anyone I could get an address to, I'd send a tape to. But I was also a resident of Milwaukee's at that time, and that was a dark night, more jungle style than bouncing banging. But the bouncing banging hadn't come into it yet. It was breakbeating.
Now, Shane, you say that like you was a great advertiser of yourself.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Once I stopped sending tapes and I had a record with a label on it, I'd send them a record because that would only cost me £1.80 at the time. So
you've got this mind frame, like you've got this absolute mind frame of the importance of your self promotion and getting yourself out there. I'm going to fast forward a long chunk of time, like in the modern day and age, and then we'll get back to the music, right? The progression of you. So as someone who from word go, you was promoter minded, you was PR minded of gathering people via the radio, gathering people to teddy bears picnics, and
I wanted to get out there, of course,
and a weekly night of like 1,000 people on Southend Seafront.
Why play to one person when you play with 1,000?
Yeah.
More the merrier.
So now we're in the internet age. So you said, well, my record was like my flyer. And when you said that, my thought process went, well, your record was like when we do videos saying, here's the latest DJ Vibes and all of that.
Yeah, progression.
Yeah, so how do you view in your promoter head the way in which people, younger generation people now have to promote compared to you? Is it the same and just a different medium?
Well, there's the vinyl now isn't out there. That was the only way then. A tape or a vinyl, or even I'd even send, and I'd always have a letter with what I'd send them, a little handwritten proper thing, not typed out, not like 50 of them. I'd write it personally. It'd only be 10 lines or something, because it had to be stand out, didn't you? Yeah. But now, of course, everything is basically in life is online. Yeah. Not just to mention music. And yes, anyone between 16 and 40. That's where they're looking at a computer a lot of the day or some of the day. Yeah. They have to. If you want to buy anything, if you want to put money somewhere, if you want to pay a bill, if you want to hear music now, radio's there, of course, that's great. But if you want to buy something, buy a track, it's online. If you want to see a DJ set, it's online. You cut the CD tapes. The CDs. If
you want to watch us now.
Yes. The CD packs ain't out there. The tape packs ain't out there. So, but DJs need to promote themselves online with their podcasts, with their live streams, which is always great. Isn't it amazing? If we could do a live stream 30 years ago, I'd love that. Yeah, I'd been doing them all week. I'd have been non-stop.
Because I hear, me and you are very positive people, and we have been, and we always have.
There's always downs and ups, but you've got to keep going.
Right, but we, in one aspect, we're very fortunate that our names carry us through, but on the other side, we don't rest on our laurels and our past, and we're both people who are continually out there and continually promoting what we do. Whether it doesn't matter how we always let people know what we're doing.
Oh, you have to,
in our own quirky ways.
You have to. Self-promotion's the first promotion you have to do.
But I see a lot of people, young and old, in the world of DJing, who seem to think that, no, we don't want to use the internet to let the world know that we're here. We don't want to use it. It's all a hindrance. No, it's not how it was back in the day. I guess my question to you is, this whole thing of it should be like back in the day, still giving out tapes. Should it still be like back in the day?
No, because it can't be. Of course, we'd love the nostalgia. We love the memories. Look at all this lovely vinyl. We love that. But there's not shops. How many shops are selling that now compared? There's not the Friday afternoon round the front of that record shop with the man playing one record, I'll have that, and he gives you one, you one, you one. He keeps a couple under there for the other people. Life changes, life moves on, time moves on, life moves on. You have to move with it, I'm afraid. I've not been in a club that have got these techniques for some time now.
And we both played in a gig 2 weeks ago where we played vinyl.
Yes.
So a wax on.
And I like that, but it doesn't work every week.
It doesn't work every week.
It's a nostalgia session.
Yeah, when we go and do vinyl sets, it has to be really well organised with the promoter. They have to be set up,
and the people coming know what it is.
Yeah, we have to know. And yeah, I think for me, it's like it doesn't matter whether what era, what decade, where you've come from, you have to promote yourself with the tools that
no
are
one else would do
available
it.
to you.
No one else would do it. Yeah.
And like,
I'm lucky. I've got a following, a platform, a history.
yeah,
But to come through now, when we was doing it, there was 100 other people trying to do it.
yeah.
Now there's 100,000.
I said this. Me and my daughter have got a new podcast we're launching, and I was saying to her about a conversation that I had with Nikki Black Market, and you've actually halved what me and Nikki was saying, right? So me and Nikki were just randomly talking.
Just out on the street. Yeah.
No, on the phone.
Oh right, yeah.
To
It wasn't a podcast. It wasn't recorded.
It was
right,
just a phone call one afternoon. We were just randomly talking, right? And we just got on to 1991, and I said to him, I don't think that there was that many of us then. There wasn't more than 200. He went, no way was there more than 200 of us doing it. And you've just said 100 in your head.
Trying to do what we're doing. And you had to be making a record as well, really.
Yeah.
You had to have some little bit of difference. But
Yeah.
now, what do you do? Because
Yeah.
there's so many people with gimmicks, wearing half nothing.
Yeah.
You know, just... You don't have to be a great DJ sometimes now.
Yeah, well,
But-
DJing's never been so easy because you can just line these things up and do your stuff. However, you still got to have great music.
Yeah, but you've got to still be a bit of a personality. You can't just see their head down. You have to let people know you are off the decks as well as on it.
And be great with your music. But I think now...
And have a chat, get on with them, have a little laugh. Or, just have a bit of banter as well.
Yeah, now I think there's more tools to be able to get out there. The internet's free. All of these
That's what I
different
mean, yeah.
platforms. What you can
You can do a live stream to 1 billion people if they're watching.
Yeah.
You're just like that.
Yeah.
It's easy to do. And it's great to get yourself out there. But the thing is, yes, there are 1,000 people doing it per night.
Back to Sing It Loud, the music's so wonderful in that period. You
Well-
set me off on one when you just fascinate me that like how you realise the importance of promotion and in letting people know you're out there. So, and I wanted to compare that from then to now.
I'd say I was probably one of the first to send a record to a promoter.
You was...
That's the difference. Anyone sending tapes, when will a promoter listen to a tape? Even then, realistically, I did the odd time.
Literally, you were one of, if not the first person who I met who was so professional in everything that you did. Like when I met you, the nice business cards.
Yes, little things.
The way you presented yourself, the way in which you carried yourself, in like House had Sasha and people like that. Hardcore had you.
And Dougal,
and Dougal in the way that you were so turned out, in the way that you were so professional, in the way that you was so focused.
It was an honour to be there, to make the most of it.
Yeah, and you truly embraced and truly understood before,
and had a bit of fun on the side. Yeah, of course, you can't be too serious. But yes, we did. We enjoyed it. It was an event. It was an occasion. There's another million people wanted to be in our shoes, so we wanted to make the best of it and have fun and show off a bit. Of course.
Yeah, you truly understood the worth of promoting yourself as well as just the music.
But the music had to be on point as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people always say this. I say it to you. I'm sure they wouldn't say it otherwise. Yours was the best tape out of that. Your set was the best. But and I know that a lot of them were. Some of the Dreamscapes, some of the Helters, because I made an effort. When I got in with music, with Mo's Music Machine, when I got in with them down at Walthamstow.
Walthamstow, yeah.
When I got in with Lee loved me because I'd do the records a bit cheaper and I was always allowed into their special room with a record player.
I bet Lee allowed you into his... Lee still comments under all my stuff, I bet he does.
Really?
Lee's a legendary... to anyone who's thinking Lee's a legendary... distribution man who like really spotted lots of talent from early on and really got behind a lot.
He pushed my bits right out there. He'd really give him. He'd always want more. Yeah,
Lee was very, very influential. And the thing about Mo's music was an absolute hub. Like my best mate from school worked there. Another close friend from school worked there. Lee lives up the road, and yeah. So Mo's music was is quite. A lot of the people who work there are close to me.
Well, he'd always let me into the special room.
Yeah, that don't sound right.
The special box.
You and Lee in the
Friday afternoon
in the special room. So when you,
but I'd always could get the foreign stuff and the other stuff that
when we went and got the Euro,
when I'd always get the Berserk records and the Dwarf records, I'd get them well in advance, and I could pick and choose. So I would always have a lot of stuff up front before other people. So my tapes would be different sometimes, which is great.
Yeah, as it progressed on, it was. Yeah, do you remember Weaver who worked up there? He was the man who had all of he was dealing with all the Euro stuff. So when I'm now going back a little bit. I've taken you forward. And that's taking you back.
Reverse,
forward and back in the special room
round.
up at Mo's Music. So all of a sudden, Sing It Loud, Music So Wonderful drops. One of the greatest launch records, debut records that you could have in hardcore rave.
That's the problem.
Music,
Too good a start.
Right?
The only way was down.
Explain then how the gigs changed around, how your presence changed around, how you DJ Vibes went from the London Essex to the
I'd never been anywhere further than Luton, that's a fact, until I was 20, 21, and I just didn't have any reason to. But then I started getting, because all my that'd be the business cards, which I had 1,000 of those done with a number on. People need your number. There was no email address, there's none of that. I put my record number on the record, that was just obviously, and also my number would always be on the tapes. So when my name started getting put about a bit, and the record, you'd even put it into one of your charts at number 1 in
rave scene.
Yeah,
rave
Double
scene.
Dip Mag or
Double
whatever
Dip
it was.
Rave scene, I remember. Yeah.
So they started booking me, and it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Yo, he's the new man. He's the new fella. I'll have him. I need him on my thing to get it going. And I was turning those down. But then, like we all were at some stage, but for me, it was such a whirlwind. It didn't happen in a matter of 6 months. It happened in a matter of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Then from Roller Express, and then I was on everything. World Dance, Dreamscape, Helter. There was something I wasn't on, which was a great 3-4 year period.
Yeah.
And it was just brilliant. But then I was making music with Grant, even more intelligent music. We was, getting to know each other better. So everything was just whirlwind. It was really, really good. Amazing to go to these places. But the first ever event I ever done further than Luton was in Telford, and it was Obsession, which is very apt name for obsessed event. And Cy was playing before me, and I don't know how he got me record, but he didn't know who I was at this stage, and I was playing after him. I was in the event early enough, but I had to hire a car because I didn't have a car. But I hired a car, but someone hired it for me because I didn't have the license.
Right, so you were driving up and down the motorway.
No, I got seen at the local petrol station. I got seen at a local petrol station in the hire car, which my mate had got for me, and they knew it wasn't me.
Right.
And that's a fact. They come and knocking on my door and took the car off me. So I had that afternoon to get a car, and I hired a car for £12, a Triumph Acclaim for the day. Right, £12, a green. What was it? It was an A-Reg green Triumph Acclaim.
Yeah.
For £12 for the day, off a bloke called Major Money, an old fella. He was
Major Money.
He had a blazer on with the gold buttons, medals on it, a roll neck. He's got 75, 80. He got to have been called Major Money. That was what it's called, Major Money. Right. It was in the Yellow Pages, the advert for this place, the Yellow Advertiser, actually, the local paper.
Yep.
Of Basildon, Essex, Yellow Advertiser. So I went and saw Major Money, got me Triumph Acclaim, drove all the way to Telford.
Because you met DJ Major Money.
Yeah. Made of money. So, but everyone I knew after that started hiring from Major Money because it was such a good deal. He had an A-Reg Metro, well, orange one. Right. He had some real scrappers, I tell you. He really did. But yeah, that was my first journey. But Cy was playing before me. I think it was 99% it was Cy. And he played both sides of that track. It's the first time I'd heard it out properly. And I came up and said, wow. So that was a lovely thing. My first ever big do, far away. Obsession was a big event. And then after that, it was just consistent, solid vinyl. CDs didn't come till 93, did they? No, sorry, 2002.
Yeah, CDs were come way down.
It was just vinyl. It's just constant. And I had about how many releases? probably 70 tracks, 10 releases, 12, 14 releases probably, if I think of it.
Wow.
Good ones, yeah.
Wow, yeah. So that time period, 93.
I was there at right time, right place, right at the start of the vinyl properly, you know.
Well, you say right time at the right place, but you'd done some pretty incredible stuff already with the pirate radio, with Mr. B's.
There was a lot of rungs on the ladder.
With Roast. So I think right time, right place.
For the vinyl, I mean. For selling vinyl.
But undersells a lot of like... There's lots of incidental things going on, but also...
Little chunks that just built
the
brick wall.
By 93, you're 5 years down the line of building up your skill, your knowledge.
Oh, the apprenticeship was done, no doubt.
Yeah. And you'd been through it. You'd been nicked for doing it.
Yeah.
You've been driving
I've got the receipt, and I showed up the Rave story. That's when he had to talk.
You've got the receipt. And
I've got the T-shirt.
How did that feel going around the UK and being so celebrated in that moment?
Well, the scene itself was celebrated high. It was amazing. We could do 2 or 3 or 4 even on a Saturday at the right time. 2 or 3, definitely. They'd all be packed from Plymouth to Stoke. Every dude would be busy.
Yeah.
There could be 4 or 5, 6 dudes on a night. Not that we're doing them. There'd be 6 events on a night. They'd all be busy. Now it'd be hard to get 2 or 3 to be, you know, because obviously life changes, music changes. But it was just amazing. Driving up, driving down, driving round. The fun was on the road. The fun was at the event. All packed out. I'd play some of my own stuff. I'd play some new stuff. You know, and then we'd go to a big helter and we'd be behind the stage. It was just real fun. Real lucky times. Obviously, it wasn't all luck. Because I'd done a lot of hard work. As you just said, I'd done my 5-year apprenticeship. Nothing falls out the sky. You have to grab it.
Do you think that you appreciated what was going on more in the moment or more now looking back?
I do it a lot. Everybody does, but I do it quite a lot. You look back and you think, God, you feel really glad and happy and elated it happened.
Yeah.
You feel really sad that it's past.
Yeah.
I do get a bit emotional and think, oh God, what if I hadn't done it though? But you just think, oh, that was so good. Why didn't I sort of make more of it? Why didn't I get more photos? Why didn't I remember it? Why didn't I realise how special it would be 10 years down the line?
Yeah.
But if I wasn't doing it, at least I got the memories and the emotions.
I get that. I appreciate it more now than I did in the moment because we get older and older and the memories go further and further.
We've done
back.
over 1,000 hours, haven't we, at least?
Yeah.
And you can't remember half of them, all the places and faces.
However, we are very fortunate and I've become more and more grateful for every flyer that pops up from them that we get tagged in, or every picture that someone finds, or every piece of video. And we are very fortunate.
It's very sad sometimes for me, it really is. Yeah. Because you get older, you look older, you feel older. You know, you look at your younger self and you think, oh,
nostalgia, nostalgia, and the happy memories. This has always interested me because I can't always fully articulate myself with it. You wouldn't think that with how much I like to talk, right? However, Shane, like maybe you can explain this, how we can feel so nostalgic, so uplifted and so happy about what we did. And we are both people who have been dedicated to keeping that memory alive and that heritage alive. But still we can have waves of sadness about it. And I can never quite articulate that.
It happened to me yesterday. I was just laying there, whether it was just I was tired or it'd been a long night. And someone sent me photos through. She was a girl that she'd seen me 20, 30 years ago, 93. It's on, I could show it to her after.
I saw it.
And she put a picture up there. And I just thought, 30 years. It's a generation. It is a lifetime. Yeah. But we're still there. Yeah. You know, some people weren't lucky enough to be DJing. They was at the clubs and that, but we were very, very lucky, and it was just so privileged. But still to be doing it, you know. Yeah. So we have to be dedicated, because if we weren't, we wouldn't be.
Because sometimes back then, I don't think any of us, even though you were great self-promoting and the awareness that you wanted to create, I don't think any of us would have foreseen that here we would be over 30 years later.
No. It was a hobby at first, wasn't it?
Yeah, we just lived for the weekend and lived for the next record and lived for the next production. And
we didn't realise how big the scene was. And it is, just think, I've said this to you before, punk lasted 3 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's on the telly all the time still, on BBC 4 and all that.
Yeah.
Mods weren't even on for that long.
Yeah.
The rave scene was solid for 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
And
it doesn't get the recognition. It's sort of like the dirty thing.
Yeah.
You know, for the BBC and stuff.
But we keep on going, and one of the main things in recent months, in the past 6 months, why I've been so active with my social media, and why now doing stuff like this today with you is so important, is we are getting older, and we are losing people. We are losing
That's a fact.
Very good friends, very personal people, peers who have inspired us and inspired the rave generation. And I think that so many stories need to be told on deeper levels. And like you mentioned, like the BBC, and I've always felt that the hardcore, the jungle, the early darker drum and bass, the deeper bleeps and bass and acid, the more ravey end of it has, in that period, or in the flimsy world of like the flimsy world of journalism and documentaries, right?
Oh, it just wasn't on the top of the fashion list, was
Yeah.
it? So, oh no, put right from there.
Has got the raw deal at times. However, all of these years later, we may have got the raw deal, but the truth of the matter is, we are the real deal who are still here. We didn't need Mixmag and DJ and BBC and documentaries.
Well, think how many thousands of people was at raves every weekend. How many people are at punk or mod dues? No one.
If you want to know the real essence of do it yourself and be here forever, us and our friends are sitting here and have done it forever without the help of mainstream.
Just think of Saturday. That lineup was predominantly old school, a few newies, and it was rammed solid. It was brilliant. Old faces, new faces. It was a tribute. It really was amazing.
Yeah, and we literally.
And that was a 30-year birthday.
Yeah.
So,
look, big shout to do you know what I loved about? Saturday Epidemic 30th. And we've known Grant Epidemic since the mid-90s, since he started on Clacton Pier.
And love him.
And he always says to me, Dan, you're the DJ I've booked most. And I think to myself, I'm the DJ who's been willing to do it for nothing the most.
Yeah. He's never give you any extras. There's never been a bonus, has there?
But his dedication is amazing. What I loved about Saturday was what made it so magic for me is like, I played in the hardcore room. You was on after me. I played in the old school room. There'd been Nookie on a few sets before me, and then there was Chrome and Time on.
Think of that.
After
That's
me,
a 30-year
right?
sesh.
Yeah. So even now, as a fan of the music, I still get excited by all these people whose music I used to play and still am playing.
And you can talk to them and have tea with them and everything.
And still working with them all. And then also, it was the celebration that our Grant has done 30 years without ever stopping. And while we all...
Big events have come and gone, really big events.
Really
but he's just been solid all the way.
He's been solid. And then, so we all brought our A game to his occasion, but also for me there was Joe Labyrinth in the dance floor raving away. So there was all these faces.
It was undercover faces there we didn't even know about.
There was non-stop faces.
You couldn't walk through there without it talking, mate. It's an half-hour walk when it across the dance floor.
Left, right, and centre, non-stop faces in that.
There was more
event.
faces in the foyer than at most other raves.
Yeah. There was more faces in the foyer than an A-list than a Z-list VIP party. A Z-list VIP party. But yeah,
it was 1 in, 1 out of characters.
Yeah, 1 million.
I'm leaving. You're coming. Back. Coming. Yeah.
1 million%. The changeover from you was an absolute pioneer of the '93 scene, which I always think was one of the most creative eras of UK rave music, because just like we may not have realised how important the scene was in the raves, musically it was so radical.
It is a scene. It is a massive scene for tens of hundreds of thousands of youngsters from then who are our age now.
Yeah.
And they've still got it in their blood. They've still got the old tapes. You never lose it.
Yeah, and the music was so radical, and you played a huge part in the whole radical
I know, I have to
movement.
pinch myself.
Yeah.
I don't even understand that sometimes.
You then went completely happy.
Yes.
What was the vibe and the buzz that led you to...
Well, the music was going that way. Me and Dougal were
Yeah.
paired up a lot of the time. We was always knocking about with each other. He was a little bit more happier than me. He'd done a few tracks which were happy, but me and Dougal seemed to be the draw at the time for the happy. Happy was coming in.
You were the first superstar DJs of hardcore, poster
hardcore,
boys.
yes.
Even even I got a little.
Someone sent me, Dave Darts Ripley sent me this the other day. Yeah.
Even I got a little movement over the pair of you when you was together.
I was just the aftershave. It weren't the look.
Yeah.
So that was great, of course, but we were the only long-haired ones, weren't we?
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
Playing happy stuff, girly stuff, pianos, hands in the air, blonde hair, suntan. What more do you want?
Yeah.
So Elter Skelter, everyone had a few,
Yeah.
Cool, everyone was happy. So, but yeah, it was real good times, real great. But the happy stuff, yeah. Then we done Feel Free, which was the epitome of us and of that scene at the time. Die Hard, Helter Skelter, those events were the Skegness, the Pleasure Dome. Then you'd go across to the Stoke, Kinetic. That was the heartbeat of the happy scene.
Yeah.
But that's when the breakbeats were still there, but you'd get a kick over it.
I loved that era.
When that came in for the impact time, sort of about 93, then the kick was coming in with real good pianos. But then obviously, it got harder and harder, which I wasn't really a big fan of the super hard stuff. I like to be more down the middle.
Yeah.
Every track I've ever done's had happiness in it somewhere.
Yeah.
Especially piano, especially strings, especially vocals. But yeah, I was, the happy chappy, the rave master.
The happy chappy rave master. There was nothing like, though, the buzz of going into the sanctuary and that
boiling
big
hot,
happy hardcore soaring
How many
away.
horns? How many whistles? How many horns? How many yellow jackets?
And the energy was just incredible, and there was no way as a DJ that you couldn't be moved and inspired by that energy.
Well, a crowd front of the stage to the back of the room.
Yeah.
5,000 people and all hands in the air when the Feel Free comes on, the piano breakdown. That's a buzz.
Do you know what? There's two silver boxes. I think I've shown them to you before.
You did when I came over.
And I remember when you cut me a dub plate of Feel Free.
Still got it.
I've still got the dub plate, and you cut it for me, paid for it out of your own pocket, and said, "Dan, I've got you," and you gave me Feel Free JTS dub plate, and you cut it, and I met you outside JTS cutting rooms, and you gave it to me. But yeah, the happy hardcore era was an incredible.
And that was coming out in the summer, that track as well. That was really good. Yeah, I remember.
Was an incredible British youth movement that, again, the BBCs. I remember Mixmag put my name. It was actually the worst free DJ names of the year, and they put. I think it was Jumping Jack Frost first and me second, or vice versa. And I always thought Jumping Jack Frost was the coolest name on the planet.
Good.
Right?
I never would have thought that.
Do you know what, Nigel? Sorry, I'm just thinking about Frost. Right, at the weekend, Roland from Grange Earwork and Mustafa. He used to MC for us back in the day, like 91. Him and MC Creed started with us back in the day. Sorry, everyone, I'm just going off on a tangent.
I like it.
About Jumping Jack Frost, right? So I've put this picture up, and the video. I was like, here's me and Erkan here. Look, both of us in this video. No, mate, that's AI. That's a mirrored effect, right? So I got, what I'm like, Shane. I'm up at like 5:30 every morning, right? So I've got up. I got in from Epidemic at about 2. Went a bed, got up at my normal time at 4:30. Why do we do when you get to our age?
Oh, you're in the pattern though. You're in the
when
you're in
you
the pattern.
get to our age, why does that happen? Why do we not know how to have a line anymore? Right.
You can try it. It won't work.
So I've gone boom, boom, boom. I've put the video up of me and Ro. I just want to be your friend, Roland. So do you know the other person who's always up the same time as me every day of the week?
Him.
Jumping Jack Frost.
Oh right, yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
So Frost,
oh, the new Frost. The
right?
new
Frosty has put the guilt on me on Sunday morning, right? So I had a bit of an headache. I'd only had 4 hours sleep.
You knew you had a slow day.
So
you could do
but I still put this video up, and I was planning on a nice slow day on the sofa. All of a sudden, my phone starts popping off. Nigel,
what time's this?
Oh,
6,
I don't
7
know,
o'clock,
7ish, 6:30, 7. You and Roland from Grade Hill, you've done me, you beep, you've done me. Like he can't help but calling me bad words, right? You've done me, you beep, you've done. I'm going gym. And he's screaming and shouting down the phone, you better be going to gym. You better be going. And I'm like, Nigel, please. I woke up at 2 this morning. What do you mean? I got in at 2, and he's going, I got in at 3. I got in at 3. If I'm going to gym, you got. And I'm just like, do you know what I did? Do you know what I did? I turned my phone off. I was like, bam. But yeah, the happy was.
What was the third name?
The third
Do you remember?
name?
Yeah, the third bad name.
I can't remember, but yeah, for me, again, a lot of press and a lot of music journalism and a lot of people, I think by discrediting the happy era, they're discrediting hundreds of thousands of people who brought the CDs, brought the records, brought the tape packs.
How many people at the events?
Went to the events.
God, week in, week out, not just for a couple of months.
Look,
for 10 years and some.
And some. The original breakbeat piano stuff that we was all doing, of course, like you say, Sing It Loud, I was the first to play that. And a lot of that earliest breakbeat stuff was very London-based, right? And there's
still stands up today, a lot of it.
Come on, I still play loads of it now, right? However, by the time it moved on, I get it. It wasn't from Birmingham, it weren't from London, it weren't from Bristol, it wasn't
Ibiza.
Yeah, and on the other end, it wasn't Ibiza.
Yeah.
But that period of is not to be discredited.
You can't argue with the people on the dance floor. Thousands. They weren't empty, was it?
You cannot argue with the people.
Dreamscape. You can't argue with that.
And the energy was incredible. And I think we all, in our early to mid 20s, we were all of us as a movement of producers and DJs.
It is true though that a lot of ravers would move then onto D&B after 2 years of their rave. Then they'd move on to garage. And it's just a progression, of course.
Progression.
Yeah. We don't play with little merry-go-rounds anymore, do we? You move on, of course.
But yeah, well look, I had an event called I Love Happy Hardcore.
Really good.
And which
album done well.
Yeah, and the album did good, and it's been something that no matter how we do cool things. We do cool things. We get invited to play at cool things, me and you.
Well,
all of our DJ friends, right?
I wouldn't change much of my last 30 years.
However, we never ever pushed the happy hardcore thing to the side.
No.
Ever.
No, well, I'm still playing it constantly and people are still loving it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I still play a lot of old school, do a lot of breakbeat stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still going. It's still out. Look, my T-shirt. Someone sent me that, Davey Darts.
Yeah.
What more? I'm wearing it.
You're wearing it.
That is the guarantee.
It was
the seal.
It was a real endearing period that means so much to so many people.
But people people met and married people at the event, not at the event. They've met people that they married at these events. They've made friends for life at these events. They've made memories for life. They got photographs. They've probably still got some of the same clothes they wore and they keep them just for memories.
Yeah, and that's why me, Sonia and Simon, with our PR companies, why we do the bonkers at Ministry of Sound, why we took that event on.
Well, that proved itself, didn't it?
Yeah, because no matter how many how much I play on the Heritage House scene, no matter how much I play super cool breakbeat underground things, we've put Bonkers into Ministry of Sound in London, and it's important to us to
That
treat...
was the day of the year so far, Niall.
Yeah,
Of the
last
year.
year, yeah. And it's important for me to absolutely keep that heritage alive. Incidentally, Sonia's in the other room, and I'll probably get this wrong, but the next Bonkers at Ministry of Sound that we're doing is August the 30th. So anyone who wants to have a good old proper happy hardcore knees up,
I'll be there.
You're always there. We've got Bonkers at Ministry of Sound on August the 30th all day.
And if this one's anything like the last one, mamma mia.
Mamma
Perfect weather as well.
mia.
What a day to have it. Nice outdoor bit, everything there.
So
Great sound, great rooms.
all of these years later, you're still going up and down this country doing
I have been
old
about
school,
recently. I have been about
hardcore,
music
happy
days.
hardcore. What is the secret to still be doing that all of these years
Well,
later?
it's not one secret, I don't think. There's a few little things rolled into one. You have to want to. You have to enjoy it, and because it's not just the hour or 2 hours you're playing in the club. There's more to it than that. You have to get there. You have to prepare. You have to get home. You have to recover. And I know I don't mean recover because last week I done Stoke. Well, you did so Burton on Trent, and then I went to Burton. No, I done Burton on Trent, then to Birmingham on a Saturday night. 4 hours one way, another an hour and a bit across, 4 hours back. So it's a whole day out, and it's a night time. So you wouldn't do it if you didn't want to do it and love it. And you have to be appreciated. People do appreciate me, and it's an honour. And do you know what? I've always thought this is it now. It's not going to last any longer. But I've never shown that or thought I'm giving up. Because people still want you, and you're still willing, and you're still doing it well. I'm not just playing the same set every week. I promise you that. You must know that. I'm not just playing the same. I'm just doing it for going through the motions. Definitely not. I don't turn up 1 minute before my set and get lost 1 minute after.
Yeah.
I'll always get there 40 minutes at least beforehand, and always want to know the promoter. I
Yeah.
always want to talk to the promoter as much as I can in advance. I haven't got an agent. Never have had. And that's always been good for me. Because an agent, the promoter will try and get hold of you, and they won't be able to speak to you. They'll speak to somebody who'll want this, who'll want that, plus an extra 20%. I like to talk. I can do it do a bit cheaper, of course, which I'm not a money mega grabber anyway, never have been. You've got to negotiate or speak or work it out. Just because an agent will charge the same money for a dude that's got 50 people as one with 1,000. So
that's mad. That's mad.
Work it out, So talk to each other, and then you're friendly. Then when you get there, you know who he is. You don't walk past him when you're walking in the door.
Yeah.
You've got to have some rapport. You've got to have some relationship with the ravers, the promoters, all together. You're not anything special compared to them. You're behind the decks. That's the difference. They're there to see you, and you're there to see them. So you've got to love it. You've got to still want it. And if I didn't, I wouldn't, mate.
I've got a question for you. Have you ever fallen out of love with the music?
No, but I'll tell you why. I've fallen out of music. I've fallen out of music which has been produced, but I haven't played it.
Yeah.
I haven't fell out of love.
There you go.
I don't like the hard. I've never go for Frenchcore in my life.
Frenchcore.
Whatever that is. But no, I will still play music that I like. I won't play anything because it's fashionable or because people people think I should. I'll play what I know goes down well. I won't water it down. And I've to certain dudes I've not turned down. I've said, do you think it's right that I'm going to play here on this lineup?
Yeah.
I've said that because I wouldn't want to go there and not clear. I don't think I've ever cleared a floor, but I wouldn't want to make a floor uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I always pick an event, and I've been asked to do sort of old school jungly things, not in the right place, but I've known that I have, and I've said, right, I'm going to play this, not that. So I've gone for a above the clouds sort of set, rather than me try and play jungly stuff.
Yeah.
And if they don't fancy that, but I've always, gauged it really well. But I've never fell out of the music that I play, music I've made or play. But I fell out with stuff that's been produced that I don't like.
And then you find other stuff that you love.
Yeah, people are playing it and it's just not working. So.
And I think that is a huge part to anyone's success. The fact that you don't fall out of love with something.
The music's a wonderful album. Those tracks are all 28, 30 years old. I still love all those.
Yeah.
And you like them.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I still
the
play
album
'em, yeah.
sold. There's some reason why the album sold.
Yeah.
Because we picked them well, and they're all stand-up test of timers. They were good then, which means they're good now.
Yeah.
A track
yeah.
doesn't get bad because it's older. It's
Oh,
just, it's
some of
maybe
it
out of fashion.
matures. Some of it matures and gets better
Yeah.
and better and better and
Yeah,
more.
well, you proved actually you play a lot of old stuff that's undercover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that people have forgotten about. And that's amazing to hear a track you'd forgotten about. Whoa.
That's something I love doing. I love, like, as much as doing like the real entertainment end of things, like when we walk into a big rave and like we're the entertainers.
I like that,
I love
some people
all that.
don't. Some people don't want that at all. They come in. I know DJs will only go through in the back door.
Yeah.
And they won't come out and they won't have photos taken. I've told you this before. I won't name them now. I might.
Yeah.
I should. But they won't go out through the crowd,
Yeah.
and they won't come in through the crowd, and they won't have a photo.
Yeah, I love.
What is that?
No,
These people
that's not
made
for
you.
me. Yeah, I love the big showmanship bit, but in equal measures.
Within reason, without,
Within equal measures, I love, like, you know, playing people those really depthy tracks and saying to people on the internet, you might not have known this, you know, and I've still got that tastemakery, educational, like, thing in me as much as I have the other end of, like, get me on that stage.
There's nothing better than someone hearing a track they know that you've played. One of the, you know, when you do your previews of tracks. Yeah. I've heard someone there that I haven't heard for a long time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to find that. I'm playing that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Coach.
That is always a real buzz doing that. So downtimes, you was ill. You ended up in hospital.
I did.
You ended up in hospital
3 months beforehand. I was feeling. That was when I was doing the album. Coming in there, you knew I wasn't so well, didn't you?
Yeah, when we
I was like your migraine today. I was covering it.
Yeah, when we was putting Shane's album together, me, Sonia, and Shane, which was a really exciting, creative process for us. All, you fell really ill.
Yep.
And ended up in hospital.
Yeah, and he went. Well, it was 3 or 4 months previous, all through July, August, September, November, when we were doing the album. Just felt really down, had a real sort of, didn't want to do anything, real lackluster. I'd done me do's, but I was on every painkiller you could get. I was on the Cupra Friends, all the strong ones, not just your boring old paracetamols. And then I just didn't want to go out. I didn't want to talk to no one on the phone. And I was just really lackluster. I just didn't go out hardly. Didn't even watch telly. I was just laying in bed in dark room. It would come and go every other day. I was sweating really a lot in bed. I had to change my shirt 2 or 3 times a night. I'd lay on a towel. I didn't know what it was. So I thought it was a bit of COVID. I thought it was just a bit of run down. Then it went away for a couple of weeks, came back again, a bit worse, then went away. So I did go to the doctors, and the blood test, everything. They couldn't find anything. So this one particular Saturday, it just really hit me, and I couldn't get off the sofa. Sarah Pops rang the doctor, and I'd done a 911, and they said, right, we're going to get you in for a proper test Tuesday. So I went in Tuesday, done the proper test. Got a phone call on a Friday. I was meant to be playing a couple of do's. Can you come in? We need to have a little chat with you as soon as you can to the hospital. I thought that's more than a little chat. So, I went in. I did wait for a while. It was 3 or 5 hours, 6 or 7 hours, in fact. And I had the highest temperature ever. So I brought my phone charger and 2 bars of chocolate with me just in case. Anyway, they done all the tests again. They put me in the bed and kept me in for 12 days, but they didn't know what it was. They had no clue at all what it was for 3 or 4 days. And that made me worry. But then one morning the consultant came and he said, we have to prepare you for this. We think you may have liver cancer, which was obviously a little bit of a upsetter. Made me think very quickly. He said, but we're still working on it. We won't know. We're still doing these tests. Quite makes me think about it now. I feel a bit bad. So anyway, 2 or 3 days later, still I had the full scans, and they took me down for a biopsy with this needle. My God, the needle! God, it would go through a sheet of iron, mate, of corrugated iron. But it said, right, we're going to have to numb you up all over your chest. Stuck it down right in. It was uncomfortable, and there was another fella there on these 2 joysticks with a big screen with the camera. They had a camera down me with the needle. And anyway, 10, 15 minutes later, I pulled the needle out. He said, Mr. Levan, we can confirm you haven't got liver cancer. This is what your gremlin was. And he showed me a half pint. And no one says half pint, they mean a drip. A half pint of green green juice. And he said, this is what's been on you. It's been an abscess. And anyway, I said, how's cancer? He said, I was a little bit emotional then as well. And I said, what's caused that? He said, we don't know. He said, it's just bacteria. It's built up. And he said, but I'll tell you one thing, 2 more weeks and you may have died of septic shock because it was strangling my liver. So anyway, kept me in for a couple more days. I was happy at this time. Did have tears, I'll be straight with you. No one's listening, are they? So
We've got no one listening to you being all emotional, mate. No.
So, yeah. So, and I asked the consultant again afterwards and another doctor as well, what caused that? And they said, we really don't know. It's bad luck. Something's got into your system and toxin and it's not came out. And they asked me if I'd been swimming in any sewage water. Not recently, I said. I don't think so. Anyway,
What a question.
I've been swimming a bit, but not outdoors. And they said, have you been to East Africa or eaten anything, any raw meat? I said, no, definitely not.
No.
And they said, it's just bad luck. It's got in and it's not been pumped out. And they said, it's just grown and grown and you've not known it. That's why you've been so down. But it wasn't painful. I was just really low. So that was that. And then after that, I was completely fine. But it was a worrying time. So that, and then the album came out. Then I came out and I went to the event, didn't I? Your party you put on for me, the launch party. And after that, it was full speed ahead for Christmas. I've been better, but I've been drinking tomato juice every day. I've been really grapes, blueberries, and yogurt every morning, like 10 grapes, 15 blueberries, and probiotic yogurt.
Yeah.
So I've had nothing, no twinges or nothing since.
I think it's another sign of like when you do something so long, like you have, the ironic situations and the ups and downs, and here you are, someone who everyone loves, who's all, I can see now how emotional it makes you.
Thank
you
you,
might
thanks.
start me off here, but how, like, here you are every weekend of your life, loved and adored, up and down the country, like you've done your for the past 35 years plus.
Yes.
Right. And like with the situation in Green Lanes, where on the same night a doorman gets murdered, but you meet your fate.
Whoa.
Right.
Yeah. Total sides of spectrums.
Yeah. And then, like, we live this life, like this incredible life where we've lived the dream. We don't work for no one. We do something we love. We play music we love. But
it has been a dream. It has.
It has been a dream, but real life happens as well.
Yeah.
Like real.
Totally separate. Yeah.
Real
when
life.
the shutters come down. Yeah.
Yeah. Real life happens as well. And whilst your life's work, it was. We must have the album somewhere around here. While your life's work is being put together.
Well, I spent my birthday. That was my birthday period. I was in birthday
remember,
hospital,
yeah.
and Sarah wouldn't let anyone visit me, which
Yeah.
I thought was good because there were so many people who wanted to, that even strangers.
Yeah.
It was a bit upsetting for me at the time. I felt a bit. I didn't want this to mean people just come visit me for sympathy.
Yeah.
Ravers wanted to come, and Sarah just said nobody or everybody or just
Yeah.
a few. So. We stopped. That was stopped, and then when I came out, it was really lovely to see everyone.
Yeah.
And your thing. The album really boosted me as well. Then when it sold well, and it was just great. But it was a wake up call. But I hadn't done anything wrong to get this. It
Yeah.
was just bacteria, and that's why they were so unsure because they didn't know what it was. It was a weird one. It's got a name for it. It's basically abscesses on the liver of pus that had built
Right.
up bacteria. There's a name for it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a rare one.
Because we just never knew.
Must have been
did
from
we?
a rave.
It must have been from a rave. But knocking around with Fat Controller one weekend,
Put his arm around me and all the sweat.
You've got a dose of him. But yeah, it is. Life does happen parallel with our.
Well, we've all seen people where bad people go and come, haven't we, recently?
Yeah, we really have, and it is an incredible life that we have lived through underground music, like through cult like music.
We've been places we'd never have gone. We've met people we would never have met. We've seen things we'd never have seen. We've lost more sleep than we could ever imagine.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't change much of it at all.
Well, we're truly gifted, like
privileged,
gifted.
But we didn't just find it. We had to run after it and work for it.
Yeah,
definitely.
What the future? Like, what does the future? What in your head at 54 years of age?
3.
53 years of age.
Yeah, I might not make
right?
54. Don't give me that.
53 years of age, from discovering soul music to being nicked for doing pirate radio, all of these years later, what does the future of DJ Vibes look like in your head as a music man?
Well, I said I was going to maybe turn it in at 45. Right. Then I confirmed I was pulling the plug at 50 right. Before it got pulled on me. Yeah. But now I think I'm loving it so much, and the events are going well, and it won't last forever, as like anything will. I'm going to change my style in 3 or 5 or 7 years. I don't know. Right. I don't know. But I don't want to be behind the decks when the people on the dance floor are a third of my age, realistically. But still, no, that's not true. I've said this all along. I'm looking for an excuse. I love it. I've done 3 do's last weekend. Got a couple coming up this weekend, and if people want me and I'm playing good music and the crowd have got their hands in the air and they're shaking my hand and they want a selfie, who am I to not go to these do's? I love, if I weren't driving up that M6 once a month, or if I weren't driving down that M4 once a month, I would just crumble. I don't know what I'd do. I'll go to West Ham with Jay Foley. That takes me mind off everything.
Can we talk about your driving?
You can give it a whirl,
can
yes.
We?
Oh, sorry. I didn't see that one coming.
Right.
One time.
Right. Tell them.
It was a one-way at Manchester Trafford Centre, and it was your fault. You were talking.
Right.
And you doing the camera in all the way back didn't help.
How? Do you want me to explain a night on the road with you?
Be nice.
Driving.
Just try. You told Pops, you've told everyone else, tell the world.
Right. So
you got there and back.
Mate, got there and back.
I don't do it often. Why'd you film the traino on a shano?
I got there and back.
Door to door.
Right. What was it for the Stu Allen Memorial?
It was.
He drove round. Listen to me. He drove around about the wrong way.
It was your sat-nav for the Asda.
This is all in the same night. He drove around about the wrong way.
I was excited.
He drove up a road the wrong way.
It was dark.
And he jumped a red light.
We were late.
That went over an A road.
Listen, mate, it was late Sunday night. We were all
No,
right.
it weren't. It was Saturday evening about 6
Give
o'clock.
Give or take. Give or take.
That was...
It was well, at least you got memories of it. It was something to talk about.
Mate, it scared me.
And it always in a short time. I was nervous. I was stressed because we were really close to the venue and we needed petrol. So that's why we went into the Trafford Centre, didn't we?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of lights going on. Then there was that dark underpass. Well, don't worry, it won't happen again, mate. Do you think
you're going blind through old age?
No, I was excited. I was with you. Right. We were coming up to a big event. We just got all our grub, haven't we, as well?
Yeah.
Just got all our chicken twisters. My driving, I don't do it every week, do I? I'm a Shano on a trainer, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm Coach Buster. So, but it was only them little do's that you can't get back at night, so I drive. Yeah. And it's Paul Dry's fault for selling me the car.
Like I never envisaged, right, back in the 90s that we would get buses, coaches and trains to
great,
gigs, but it's so much easier,
right? The train is, if the venue's close to the station, it's got to be done, and if it's an all-dayer as well, or you're staying over, has to be done.
Yeah.
It really is, because you get a train for 60 quid to Manchester return, or you can drive for 60, 70 quid, and all the ag and traffic, and you can eat your sandwiches on a train. You can even get it cheaper than it. You can go to the toilet, you can read your book, you can have a lager if you want, you can be on the phone, you can have a sleep. You can't do all them things behind the wheel. You can try, but don't go so well.
When you're younger, you want flash cars, don't you? And you want all it all, and now as
they're only going down in value, and these days we need things going up in value.
Yeah, I used to literally, and I'm sure, I'm not going to speak for you, but we all like the flash cars.
Yes, of course, definitely, but we've had them, and you can have them if you want. But they don't really get you anywhere. Well, they go, not literally, but they're going down in value. You're leaving them out. They're putting miles on them. and they just get ruined on the motorway.
Yeah,
I've had them; they've got ruined. They get ruined up and down that motorway. They don't get looked after. You're eating in them. You're sleeping in them. It's not the one.
What makes a DJ? What makes a DJ who can last for that long?
You have to be very, very strong as in your body and in your mind. You have to really want it, because if you don't want it, someone else will take it off you, and there's always someone coming up behind you. We've seen that. There's many DJs.
That
many
didn't sound right, did it? There's always someone coming up behind you.
Listen.
It's
young'un.
DJ Fat Controller. Stay back, Jay. Stay back.
But we've seen all these newcomers, but they don't always last. And we've seen even the old DJs, they don't last because they're not really got their whole full heart and soul in it. They're not really dedicated. It's not their life. You know, obviously this has been my only job for 35 years, same as yourself, so you have to be dedicated. And if you weren't, you wouldn't. You'd have drifted off. You'd have thought, oh, I can't be bothered doing that this week. I can't be bothered going 5 hours up the motorway and 5 hours down just for a 1 hour in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, you have to really be invested. And it's a way of life, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's a way of life that it's inbuilt now. It's ingrained.
Yeah.
It's in there deep. And I would miss it so much. I couldn't just cut off. I'd miss the people. I'd miss the travel. I love the travel because it's part of it. If I'm not on that motorway, I said a minute ago, you'd be thinking,
you feel lost.
Sometimes if it's you've got to leave at 9 at night to play 4 a.m. somewhere.
Yeah.
But once you're moving and doing it and you get there, you know, it's brilliant. But if you're not doing it, you want to do it. And sometimes if you've got to do it, you think, but other people wouldn't have done it like us. There are other DJs I could name that are dedicated and strong. Like Nicky Blam, I won't go into details.
Yeah.
But that's why we're doing it. We're a chosen
know
few.
nothing
We're a
else.
different breed, definitely.
It's interesting because we are in an era, and I've been to music schools and universities and colleges and spoke about a career path in music, and now there genuinely is DJ schools. There genuinely
I've done a few.
There genuinely is like business plans for DJs. And
it's not as simple as people think. It's not.
Yeah.
You can't just learn it in a classroom.
You can't. And in my head, it's like everything that has kept us here, those early roots of our careers and our friends' careers who have remained here, was all accidental, built on tons and tons of mistakes.
Yeah, a hobby that we fancied, we enjoyed. It was a laugh. Get yourself on the radio. Wow. Yeah. Get yourself at an event. No way. You can play in front of these people like you, Labyrinth. Yeah. What an amazing turn of life that was for you. That you got in there and made the most of it. You grabbed it with every finger and both hands. Yeah. You know, and you didn't let go, and you built on that. Everyone needs a platform. Houses need footings, like, you know. Everything has to be built on, and you built on that. I built on what I had. You try grab what you can and run with it. Yeah. You know?
There was like, in my head, like I can't imagine DJing having a business plan. I can only imagine DJing loving
Our
music.
plan was day to day. You know, when's the next do, and that will build us up to the next one. Bit of luck here, a bit of luck there, a bit of waffle here, a bit of banter there. You know, just there is no manual. Yeah,
living for the weekend. Do you know what? Living for the weekend and wanting to make people dance, and no matter what happens, you found a way. You found a way to do that without anything or anyone stopping you.
It's hard enough to do it for a year and make it, or play at a big club. To do it for 20, 30, it's just unheard of, really. Yeah. It's a very small percentage.
Yeah, 35 years plus.
There's 70 between us.
Yeah.
Think of all the clubs.
35 years plus between us each, and then 70 years is a long, long time to...
Think of all the clubs, all the nights, all the tiredness, all the service stations, all the sweats.
Yeah.
All the photos, all the tracks, all the mixes. How many mixes?
Yeah.
Would you do it all again? You start again?
I wonder how many mixes we messed up. how many?
I've only ever not turned up and couldn't find one event ever. couldn't get there. Was in the area, couldn't find it, so I had to go. And there was ravers walking along with steam coming off them. We couldn't find it. Me and Lively.
And
I
you
promise,
couldn't find
we
it?
couldn't find the venue. We had to leave because it was about half an hour in. Could not find the place. It was in the middle of Milton Keynes, that area, the roundabouts area.
Milton Keynes has always been a real.
I never get to Sanctuary.
Pain, hasn't it,
There's
to-
never one way. You just get there eventually. You'd never go the same way. You'd come in a different way, no matter what way you get there.
Could you, off the top of your head, could you give a top 3 gigs?
It's so difficult. I've got to say the big Sanctuary events, preferably Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
That's for definite, because I could name another 5 or 10, to be honest, because I could easily say the Bonkers as well just now was really good because the crowd was full from minute one of the event, and it was all great atmosphere and it was nostalgia all enrolled into one. I could name many more. I could name the Abroad, the Unity's a great, mate, because you've got 3 styles, 3 hotels, 4 hotels. You can do what you want when you want there, all day and all night. And it's just such a great relaxed atmosphere. There's so much good stuff out there at the minute. But
I still believe that, and I still have the excitement and energy that every weekend is as good as last weekend, and every weekend.
But you're doing 6 days a week. You're not just doing the events, the sets.
Yeah.
You've got so much else on your plate, which really proves dedication.
Yeah, on the. Oh, you mean on a day to day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your phone is consistently buzzing from 6 to from
Well, I
8
got
till
2.
From 8 till 7. I bet it is.
Yeah.
You don't even answer to me because I know you're so busy unless it's essential.
Well, even
I'll text you. But yeah,
even my mum gets the
I know it's
that.
you must get the ump with it more as well, because it's ring, 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 and yeah.
Well, I don't know anything else, do I? Like you, I don't know.
I don't know how you fit it in with the abroad stuff, this stuff, the radio stuff. Music Mondays is a big thing to take on. You said it was 14, 15 years coming on. That is a long haul dedication, mate.
The gigs every weekend.
That deserves an award. Yeah, that's just for starts.
Yeah, there's always so much going on, but I guess I don't know what else to do, Shane. Like it, and I love doing it.
And it's working well as well. It's not as if you're struggling and it's really you kicking about, headbutting a brick wall. It's going well and you're doing it well. But it's definitely an accolade, mate. There's an award coming somewhere. It's got to be.
I was equating it in my head. Like you were saying, how many tracks have you played? How many hours on the motorway? How many miles have you done? And if you was to take me and Sonia, and you've worked with me and Sonia for a long, long time.
Oh yeah, I know you personally.
And like, let's say I'm up at 5, go to bed at 10, and from that 5 to 10, it's music.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Even at the
Whether
gym,
it's listening to it, playing it, talking about it.
Even on the treadmill this morning, I'm approving a track, a drum and bass track that's being made with some friends and my son, and
that's your only downtime, really,
right? And I'm in the gym, and I've got my headset on, and I'm voice noting them and calling them about, right, you need to do this with a vocal, you need to do that. Then I'm walking back from the gym, and I'm voice noting people, we need to do this. Then but when you're dedicated to something, and when you do something you love, it's not actually work.
No. But that passes the time for you on that treadmill anyway.
Yeah.
It's getting something done, 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I always say that if I was to advise anyone wanting to make it in this game or understand what a DJ is, I've used you as an example to many, many people who I've educated or tried to give a glimmer of like expertise to.
Yeah, don't take yourself too seriously. Be part of the crowd, because you've got to be part of the crowd. They make it. The crowd's been there for me for 30 years. Be part of them. Interact with them.
Yeah.
Have the photos. If someone sends you a little message, give them a little answer. Doesn't take long, does it? Don't just leave it. Don't blank them. All right, if someone phones you at 2 a.m. when they're sitting around the kitchen table in Birkenhead, I don't answer them phones unless I'm out on the road. But I don't mind talking to a raver for 2 or 3 minutes. If someone asks me to send someone a birthday message, I'll do it. And that's a rare breed these days.
Yeah. They
just don't really interact back. You've got to give and take.
Yeah, what I think anyone, young or old, a hobbyist, a professional, anyone, the thing that they can take from you is your contentment for what you do, how content you are.
Oh yes.
How grateful.
Every gig is an honour now.
Yeah, how grateful you are, and how authentic you are to what it was that first got you into this as Sir Vibes.
Weird.
They are the things that for me make you a mind and a vibe and a person that anyone at whatever stage they are in their life can go, if you want to do something you love and do it good and do it forever, what are the three attributes this guy has? And they're the three for me.
Well, that means a lot, mate. It really does. Thank you. Means a lot.
Yeah, they are the three things for me that make you the success you are.
Well, I never thought of it like that, and I can still think back. Seems like 5 minutes ago, sitting out in Roast, sitting in that studio for the Sing It Loud.
Yeah.
I can flick straight back to that here. Straight back to my mum's garage.
Yeah.
The little tiny, the little things that add to one big thing.
Yeah. And that is it, isn't it?
Yeah, little things.
That is the way to end this. Like his tune, Music So Wonderful. It was all the little things that made the one big thing.
Yeah.
The same goes for your.
And life in
timeless.
general, your life in general, treat as you want to be treated. It's quite simple.
Yeah.
Give something back. Don't just take. Treat as you want to be treated, because what comes around always goes around.
Always.
If you're not good to people, it will come back on you. But I don't mean be too over the top, being nice to people. Just be yourself. It's easy. You get a lot further by being nice and being respectable.
Boom.
I'd love to say a big shout out to Sarah Pops, Barry J, Remo Don, Errol, also Danny, everyone out there. Thank you so much for everything that I've been through with you. And I ain't going nowhere yet anyway.
Love you to bits.
Work very. Love you. Up the rave scene.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much,
Danny.
Shane. Congratulations
Thank you, Music
on
Mondays.
all that time.
It's been an honour, been a pleasure, and I wouldn't change a